Blessings, beloved. Thank you so much for tuning in here at Heart Activation with another episode of Heart Musings. And on this episode, what we are talking about is a continuation of awakening. And these are really, today we're going to be talking about the tools that you can use when you start unleashing your inner guide. So when I say your inner guide, what I'm referring to is more so your intuition, when you start becoming more heart-led instead of mind-led, when you become we-centric instead of self-centric. So it's a really huge transformation process, and it's nothing short of miraculous to go through the magnificent changes that happen for you. And like I had said in the first episode of awakening to your intuition, that this is really an unlearning of everything that you've known. And you kind of need to relearn how to live life with these new energies that start just rushing through your whole body and your energy system. Because everything that happens is so much against how you grew up or how society has taught us to grow up as. And so one of the first openings that you will notice will be your intuition. And I'm sure that you've heard of talking about decalcifying your pineal gland or your third eye. So this is your sixth chakra. It typically is the color of violet. And so, if you're getting into crystals and stuff, I'm sure you will learn that amethyst is a really great calming stone and is a third eye stone, which has to do with, again, your intuition. And I feel that intuition is something that continues to evolve and strengthen throughout this whole process, as it's a never-ending journey. And the more that you unbecome all of the mind constructs, the more intuition becomes your choice maker instead of your mind making the choices. So it's very difficult at the beginning to figure out what is your intuition and what is instinct, or what is your intuition and what is your mind. And so I will give a little bit of clarity as to what this experience can feel like for you, or what it has felt like for me. And first we'll go into the difference between intuition versus instincts, because instinct is your natural, it's a reaction, and instinct is a first reaction, and it's felt strongly. It is a part of your fight or flight. I was going to say instinct is part of the fight or flight notion. So it's part of, again, this survival. Like, you can hear people talk about, oh, what's your gut instinct? And really, it's like, what is your intuition saying? And so your survival for the instincts, the strong reaction, will be felt much more than your intuition. Your intuition is very subtle. It is not a reactive feeling. It is, although it is typically the first thing that comes up not it's not the first reaction, it's what comes up first. Now, I know that sounds a little like the same, however, there's a different energy behind it, whereas the intuition is always kind of in the background. It's never, I don't want to say never, your intuition is typically not very loud. Your intuition tends to be softer and tends to be loving and supportive, whereas an instinct or your mind, if there is like a thinking, a detailed thinking in there, it is more of a mind. So, and this is why it is really tricky to differentiate between the two. Because it is different for people. I know for me, it was how I feel my intuition is. It's a feeling. It powers my whole body, and I have constant high level spirit. I mean, like, I'm constantly tapped into the spirit realm, and I hear things all the time, which, means, in our society would mean, like, she's crazy, she hears voices, but it's very, very different. Where you typically think of your mind chatter, you typically think of things that go on, like the conversations that you have in your mind, and really that's kind of what it is. And so it's like listening to those voices in your head and start learning to distinguish the energy behind the voices that are actually happening within there. And that has really allowed me to be able to differentiate between what is the loving presence and what is the fear presence, because most of the time, if we are over questioning or are doubtful or anything like that, that is absolutely a fear response versus a love response. And so the next tool that we will get into is meditation. And within the meditation practice, and that's just it. It's a practice. It's nothing that you're going to master ever. It is a practice. There is no goal in this. It is just a way of learning how to work with your thoughts more clearly and fluently, rather than your thoughts controlling you. So in meditation, the very first thing that you do want to learn is your breathing techniques. And this is also a core tool, is learning the balloon belly breathing, or belly balloon breathing, whatever you want to call it. I've kind of coined it my own term here because it's easy to explain it. So most of us breathe very shallow breaths. We are under stress most of the time, and we live in a survival of the fittest world. And so our shallow breaths don't allow for enough oxygen to get to our cells, to have our cells to be able to function and activate at the percentage that they actually are able to function at. So we don't actually get as much oxygen and as much flowing in through our blood system as we are meant to be, which also continues to heighten our stress levels and our hormones. I mean, it just affects everything. If you feel off in life, or if you feel not balanced in life with anything, or any one thing, it is because your breath is not centered. And that just seems a little like overkill. However, it's completely true. So with this belly breathing balloon belly breathing technique. It helps when you're first learning this to lay on your back and to put your hands on your tummy and to pretend that you have a balloon in your belly. So you want to use your nose when you're breathing. Your nose has the natural filters, your nose hairs is the natural filters that helps filter out the air. You know, your mouth is for eating, and so you also get more air bubbles in when you're, it's like for releasing. Your nose is really where you want to focus a lot of your breathing. So, because I know a lot of people that teach breath work say to use your mouth. However, I feel with the belly breathing techniques here, it is easier and it makes more sense to use your nose. So let's picture that we have a balloon in our belly. We are lying on our back and our hands are on our tummy. So breathe in and picture you expanding that balloon as big as you can with your in-breath. And exhale and deplete your balloon at the same time. So as you breathe in, you want to fill up your belly. And as you exhale, you deplete it. And it's really not a matter of counting as it is just to focus on how much air you can bring into your system and how much air you can release from your system. So when you are in meditation, your breathing is the focal point. And now you have the correct breathing technique to use to be able to move forward with meditation. Meditation, like I said, is a practice. It is not a goal. There is no goal in meditation. Just to sit down and to focus on keeping your mind as steady and blank as you can. And thoughts will come up, and they will continuously come up. And part of the meditation practice is that you learn to bring it back to the nothingness. It is learning to allow your thoughts to release and for you to go back to the nothingness. Meditation brings in a sense of just watching the emotions and the thoughts, like recognizing that you are not your thoughts. You are only the observer of the thoughts. And that is what meditation really is meant for. It is meant for you to be able to not be so immersed with your thoughts, to know that you are not what you think, that you do have power over them, that you can center in the midst of chaos, that you can organize what happens in your brain and you can clear that. And so it really is helpful to imagine a scenario. So for me, when I am meditating or when I have intentional meditation, I picture with every thought that I'm sitting on a beach, and with every thought that comes up, I picture a wave taking that thought away, and then I'm just focusing in at the water or the sand, and I have my breaths coming in and out like the waves upon the beach. And as thoughts come up, I picture that thought going into a wave and that thought being taken out to the waters. And this has been extremely helpful for me in being able to recognize that I am not those thoughts, that I am just the observer in all of this. So, of course, you know that there are guided meditations where you can have a whole body relaxation. I mean, you can sit however is comfortable for you. You can lay down, and it's okay if you fall asleep. You can sit cross-legged, or you can just be anywhere, really. Your presence is really what matters. And the point, again, of meditation is to be able to calm and center yourself in the midst of chaos. And so, of course, you're going to be able, you know, like if you're like in a very relaxed state, you want to learn how to be able to relax yourself in the midst of chaos. So if you're not 100% comfortable, if it's not completely quiet, that's perfect, because there you're able to put what you learn to actually using it that way. So a lot of people think that it has to be quiet and it has to be still and things distract you from meditation. And it's quite the opposite. Meditation is meant to be able to center you in the midst of distraction and chaos. So we have the meditation, and of course, like I said, it's really meant for you to discover what works and feels aligned with where you are at on your journey and on your path. The next practice would be yoga, and yoga means union, and it means union with creator and self. So so there's a lot of things that are not talked about when people hear of yoga, because it is such a trendy thing, which is super awesome that it is becoming more popular. However, I feel that there's a lot of things that people don't know why yoga is so beneficial. So along with our breathing technique, breathing, again, this is our center. This is what connects us to everything. We breathe the same air as our neighbor. You know, we breathe the same air as the person we perceive to dislike the least, or most, dislike the most. And so really, our breathing allows us to see that we're connected to everything and everyone. And with yoga, this also brings in a connection to our whole body. And the way that yoga is designed is in these certain salutations and in these certain movements, when these different muscles are activated at the same time, and you have different openings of different organs, you activate these regions and areas within your whole body that aren't typically activated, and you get the energy flowing through there. And that is why there's all different sorts of yoga positions, each designed for all of your 7 different chakras. And chakras, what that means is it's a it's a spinning energy wheel, well, within our energy system, or us being like the body. So with yoga, which means union, a lot of people feel that it's about stretching. Yes, it is. It helps you stretch and become more flexible in the ways, but it also gets more oxygen to all of the muscles that you aren't typically used to using. It helps activate and also connect the energy systems and the meridians within your energy, your chi, which is your life force, or it's also called prana. It activates these in the different energy meridians within your body for you to be able to process stored emotions or trapped emotions. So this is why yoga can be very powerful and healing, because it does unite you, and to see how that energy moves through your body, that your body is a temple. It does, in fact, store everything that you consume in your body. So like whether that is TV or music or consuming, like as in food or drinking, you can feel those. You, with yoga, you see how it is all connected, and allows you to become one with all of that. So yoga, there's so many different types of yoga. You know, there's like express yoga where people move through the salutations. There's different ones that move really fast through those poses. Then there is also ones where there's like hot yoga. There's aerial yoga. I mean, there's just all different kinds. And like I said earlier, each different pose is specified for one or more of our different chakras within our 7th chakra system. So that's a really great start. That's a great foundation to learn how to be able to ground yourself when you are going through an awakening process. Your energy feels all over the place, and so you might feel super in the clouds or just really flighty and emotional. And so these grounding, these ways for you to get into your body and into center yourself is very important, because otherwise you might feel like you are not a part of this world, and you might feel completely outcasted, even more so. So again, I do also want to bring in, because I said grounding, it is extremely helpful to also, if you can, to walk around barefoot on grass, dirt, wherever it is. And why is this helpful? Well, it is helpful because there's so many nerve endings and also energy meridians at the bottom of your feet that you know, everything is energy. So if Mother Gaia is just pulsating with life and pulsating with energy and love, it's a reciprocal relationship that we have with Mother Earth, and we are able to fully connect to Earth through the bare soles of our feet. This really anchors in the energy for us and helps us to feel so much more connected than if we were just putting that barrier like shoes between our feet. I mean, you can still ground yourself by being out in nature, but I highly suggest, especially in the beginning moments of transformation and awakening, that walking barefoot is quite blissful. So I do have a lot more techniques, and I feel though that's just a really great base and foundation, and we'll get further into some more of those other tools and other language, more definitions and more things that you tend to hear about. So with that, I am going to wrap this up, and I am sending you so much love.